Flavor Flav. If you don't know him for his music, you might know him for being a reality TV star. Flavor Flav has starred in multiple TV series, appeared in Super Bowl ads, but before that, he had a background in the restaurant business. Back in 2011, he and a partner launched a Clinton, Iowa restaurant called Flav's Fried Chicken, selling New York-style chicken made from Flav's secret recipe. At the grand opening, Flav made an appearance at the restaurant, greeted customers, and even cooked some of the chicken himself.
Well, see, let me tell you like this. The unique thing about my chicken is the taste. You know what I'm saying?
Doomed from the start, it was planted right next to a KFC, and it doesn't seem like they could handle the competition. After only 3 months in business, employees started complaining about their checks bouncing, and the restaurant closed its doors. Co-owner Nick Cimino accused Flav of being a fraud and said that Flav had close to nothing to do with organizing the business, yet he wanted a majority of the money. Flav added that he decided to stop doing business with Nick when he found out he was allowing expired food to be served under his watch and wasn't paying employees, which hurt his name. Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy has been known to be involved in many interesting business ideas. You might have heard that he owns his own Subway location, and I'm sure we all heard about the success of the Soulja Pods and the Soulja console. But who watching this knows about the Soulja board? Despite the fact that they don't actually hover, hoverboards were the most sought-after new tech item in 2015. They were everywhere you looked, on TV, in music videos, and Soulja capitalized on this trend by starting his own hoverboard company. The Soulja board retailed for $1,500, and it did pretty well, or so he thought, with over $200,000 in sales in the first 6 months. As it turns out, almost all of those sales were actually fraudulent purchases people made with stolen credit cards. He found this out when he logged into his payment processor surprised by a negative balance of $174,440. Most of these fraudulent purchases weren't caught until it was too late, as Soulja had already shipped out the products, so he was out over $100,000. Soulja board soon closed its doors, but Draco didn't let this discourage him, as he continues to pursue entrepreneurial endeavors to this day. Ja Rule. Whether you have watched the documentaries or have seen the images spread across news sites and other media outlets, everyone knows about the utter failure that is Fyre Festival.
Millions of dollars went out, 20-something million dollars was spent trying to put this festival on. So millions of dollars went to everywhere. The Bahamas, you know what I'm saying? So now, goes belly up day one. What you think did that was supposed to make payments for weekend 2 festival and day 2 of the festival and so forth and so on?
Created by rapper Ja Rule and CEO of Fyre Media, Billy McFarland, Fyre Festival was described as an immersive music experience that was supposed to occur every 2 weekends in 2017. You may have seen it being promoted on your timeline by famous models such as Bella and Gigi Hadid. There were said to be featured performances from renowned bands such as Blink-182, gourmet food, and a ride on a private jet to the island where the festival was being held. Instead of all these outstanding amenities and VIP treatment for their $75,000 ticket, partygoers were left to sleep in run-down tents, eating food that was far from gourmet, and, all in all, being scammed. While Ja Rule was involved with this massive disaster, he claimed that he was also scammed by McFarland, but that didn't stop them from being pinned together in a $100 million lawsuit. Whether we believe him or not, it's safe to say that Ja Rule's vision did not come to pass, and despite all the trouble the festival caused, he still thinks it was a good idea. Kanye West. Before Kanye West created his coveted and controversial fashion line Yeezy, he first made a swing at being a restaurant owner by attempting to bring the California-based Fatburger to Chicago. With his food company, KW Foods LLC, Kanye had permission to develop 10 locations within the Chicago area, with the first location being in Orland Park, a suburb 25 miles southwest of the Chive. Despite residents of the city loving the food, the location unfortunately had to be shut down because of an apparent lack of sales. In comparison to its other locations, Andy Whitehorn, CEO of Fatburger Corp., claimed that there wasn't a way to justify that this location should remain open. It just wasn't performing. Even though this location was a bust, Kanye's other place in Chicago's Beverly neighborhood is still going strong. Drake. The famous rapper from the Six makes no secret about his deep love for his hometown of Toronto, so it was no surprise when he chose to open his first restaurant, Pring's, in 2015. Unfortunately, after 3 years, the restaurant had to close its doors permanently. There were multiple reasons for this closing, such as employees not receiving their tips, mistaken orders, walkouts, and the fact that the restaurant's liquor license was suspended due to several violations. The withheld tips from employees was a part of an IOU policy instated by the restaurant's co-owner, celebrity chef Susur Lee, to pay for mistakes in the kitchen, spilled drinks, and dine-and-dash customers. The suspension of the liquor license was due to exceeding capacity and promoting immoderate consumption among its customers. It's safe to say that a mix of bad management, intimidating company culture, and reckless restaurant practices led to the downfall of this particular business venture for Drake. T.I. The Atlanta-born rapper T.I. also made his way into the restaurant industry like others, and while this was a short-lived project, it ended with drama and consequences that T.I. still faces today.
How you doing, Tiff?
What's going on?
I heard about your new restaurant in Atlanta, right?
That is something.
I heard about your new restaurant in Atlanta. What's it called?
Scales 925.
925.
T.I. decided to partner with Charles Hughes for this restaurant opening, and as later on took to social media to say that partnering with Hughes was a huge mistake in hindsight. While the restaurant opened in 2015 and received an eviction notice due to unpaid rent in August 2016, this was far from the only problem that crossed this rapper's path.
Cedric Wallace told Channel 2 Action News as the landlord he was filing paperwork to evict the restaurant Scales 925 from its Ivan Allen Boulevard location. We were there when Fulton County deputies showed up on the property.
Before the eviction notice, Scales was under fire for its poor business practices that resulted in a wage theft lawsuit. The suit resulted in T.I. having to pay over $75,000 as a settlement to his former employees, only to be hit with another lawsuit for fraud. In his instance, T.I. was being blamed for laundering $40,000 for himself and his business partners, rather than paying the former reps of Scales 925. On top of all of this, in 2015, NBA player Glenn Rice Jr. was shot in the leg at the restaurant. All in all, not the best way to get the name of your business out there. You would think that this would be over by now, since it's been 3 years since the restaurant shut down, but that's not the case. The Georgia restaurant has now filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, with the amount owed being currently unknown. Diddy. With its first location opening in New York City in 1997, Justin's was named after Diddy's son and opened up its second location in Atlanta soon after the opening of the first. The restaurant that specialized in Caribbean and Southern food closed its doors after 14 years after speculations of renovating. Initially, no one was quite sure why the seemingly popular restaurant just went away, but with further digging, you can easily see the signs of why it went under. While Diddy claimed that he closed the restaurant due to wanting to pursue other business opportunities in fields such as music and fashion, other claims show that there is a bit more behind the restaurant's decline. In 2009, it was reported that the restaurant owed $8,000 in back taxes to the IRS. Not only that, but Tony Austin, formerly associated with Def Jam and currently president of the Russell Simmons Music Group, sued Diddy over a failure to maintain a safe environment for its patrons. This came from the fact that Austin himself was shot multiple times in the restaurant's parking lot in 2010. It's sad to see this ATL favorite go, but with allegations such as these, it seems like it was time. While we love to support our favorite artists and their business ventures, some just aren't all they're cracked up to be, as we can see. Maybe in the future, our faves will think twice before unapologetically standing behind a new idea, especially a restaurant.